Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Welcome back to the channel. We have got a DeLorean today. Basically tell us the year and obviously it's a DeLorean, but like the year when you got it, things like that.
So this is a 1981 DeLorean. The VIN, the last four, is a 1099, and after some research I found out it was one of the first 500 made. We made a total of about 9,000, and from my understanding there's about 6,500 out there on the road still. So not many. They made them from 81 to 83. Technically they stopped production in December of 82. So not many years of them. We got ours in 03. So gosh, 18 years ago.
Wow.
It's been a long process. It's never ending with an old car, as you probably know. The biggest thing we had to get done was a new engine. Did a little bore inspection of the engine. It's way more expensive to rebuild it and all that stuff. We wanted reliability. We wanted to enjoy it. So we ended up doing it. It passes smog every time. So
wow.
Drives nice and clean. Yeah.
Okay, this one you kind of answered it to me, but to let everyone else know, what is like the #1 question you get when they see you with this car?
#1 question, you probably already guessed it. Where is the flux capacitor?
Exactly.
So after some friends of mine had a small one that fits perfectly, I got one, and so my answer is it's right there.
Look at that. And like, yeah, how does that feel like when someone refers to Back to the Future? Because I mean, that's obviously, the car's iconic. That's what made this car popular. I mean, it's beautiful on its own, right? But that movie really set it off. Like, as a fan, how does that make you feel when people ask you?
I love it. It's understandable. I mean, I'm a kid of the 80s. I was born in 1980, and the movie introduced me to it like many did. And so after I fell in love with it from the movie, I personally went to the library, old school car catalog, and looked up DeLorean, and I tried to find every book possible about the car. Then my obsession just grew from there. So that's when I learned just about the car, and I fell in love with the car itself outside of the movie. So when people ask me about the movie, I love it. I get it. That's how I started.
I've never had a chance to ask someone that, because I mean, I'm one of those guys that, hey, where's the, I mean, even if I'm not asking the owner, I'm just out loud saying, where's the flux capacitor? where's the Mr. Fusion, right? But that's awesome that you totally get it. I'm a kid from the 80s too. Totally understand it.
Totally. I mean, it's my favorite movie, so like, I get it. I totally respect it.
And you recently got to go to a DeLorean meet. Tell us about that.
It was unbelievable meet, man. So after connections from other car meets, it just fit perfectly where I've got friends with a Rich, who is an original DeLorean owner, the only original owner that I know of. Told me about this NorCal DeLorean Club meet. They haven't met in a long time, obviously due to the pandemic and stuff. So we still kept a social distance, but we all met up at the Black Hawk Museum in Danville. There were about 15 of us, and it was unbelievable. Just meeting other owners and seeing the differences, the subtle differences of their cars, and just going back and forth of, you know, tricks of the trade, how to fix this, what recommendations and all that. Priceless.
For sure.
So yeah, great car meet.
So that kind of, you said people do little things to the DeLoreans, right? Do you consider yourself a purist, or would you say you're open to, hey, it's your car, do what you want, what makes you happy? How do you feel?
What makes you happy, 100%. I respect all spectrums of it. If you want to go all crazy, change from stainless to paint, whatever, if it makes you happy, you're doing it right. If you're a purist, and I respect that as well, you know, whatever makes you happy, man. I'm kind of in the middle, so I want reliability, #1. And I like to keep it stock. I love how they designed it from the get-go. So if there's a known part to fail and they've improved it, I'm gonna go that direction.
Absolutely.
You know,
and I see, like, the wheels look to me like that's stock. That's the way they came out. What are some of the things you have? You said the engine, but what are some of the things? And I know I think each year or every once in a while they change the DeLoreans.
Very subtle changes. So actually going back to the wheels, some of the owners didn't notice it. It's very, very subtle. So the older DeLoreans like this one, the wheel color was actually much darker, like a darker gray. These had some paint chips around it, and so what I wanted to do is I didn't want to paint over the original paint. So a buddy of mine who actually has a Subaru back in LA did a Plasti Dip spray on his rims.
Okay.
And I didn't know till he told me it looked great. So actually these are Plasti
These
dipped.
are what?
And
these are dipped.
I just
okay.
went a lighter shade gray. So the original gray is much darker than that.
Interesting.
But it's just a little bit darker than the lighter color that they came out with later in the years. That is technically not the stock color, but it's close enough.
I would say probably. And you said even the DeLorean guys, I for sure would think that's exactly what they like. Good job. That's well done, man.
Thank you. I think it came out pretty good. Other subtle differences. So if you come around here, I mean, these are so minor. I think I told you earlier, the older ones, they put the door strap just along this handle here. And I think around 82 and the later ones, they added a slot and they moved this over here. And my guess is a little bit closer to the middle. Here's the torsion bar, the hinge of the doors, and it's easier for the passenger to grab onto it than leaning forward. Little difference there. They changed the design for whatever reason of the ashtray. Just the look of it. Assuming for cost cutting, they removed the clock. Older DeLoreans have a clock, the newer ones don't. This is just blank.
Okay.
Little details like that, you know. All these new, I've noticed a trend. If they changed it, it was either a bad design or they wanted to cut costs.
Okay.
So the old ones like this one, the louver middle brace was very thin. And the original owners, his actually broke and out of warranty. They put in a new one and a better one. So the newer ones have a better, fatter middle brace here.
Oh, wow.
And DeLorean Motor Company actually built a new one brace right here, and so this actually keeps it a lot more structurally stable. So I've installed this, like I talked about, reliability.
Right.
So this keeps a lot more sturdy, and they did a pretty good job. They added the DMC logo right here, and they kept a little insert here, so when I open this can actually connect to this and hold the engine cover.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And like you said, like it's all subtle.
Right.
But functional too.
Totally functional. So I can show you an example. I'll show you the original design to hold this is something like this. This is actually new, but these were always prone to break off, and what they would do, they would rely on this.
Oh, so that alone would just stick
will
up.
hold it. You can see the problem.
Yeah.
So a lot of owners, they'll put a zip tie here, they'll use this, and they'll actually just connect it to the seat.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
It's a quirky car, man.
For sure.
But I love it.
And I think that's a good segue to bring it, since you have the engine open here.
Yeah.
What would you say is like the misconception? You see a car that looks fast. I mean, it looks fast. We were talking on the way here.
It's beautiful. It's not that fast. This is a PRV engine, and the PRV stands for Peugeot, Renault, Volvo. Widely used engine in Europe, not in the States. I think, again, cost cutting. I think John DeLorean originally wanted this to be a lot faster sports car, possibly a Lotus twin turbo engine in there originally. That jumped the price, and so his competition price-wise, you're talking around Ferraris and Porsche level.
Wow.
And in 1981, you're gonna be really hesitant to buy this when you can buy a Ferrari.
Totally.
Great cost cutting, lower the engine cost, and now your price competition is probably Corvettes, maybe Mustangs. Now you have a little better chance in the market. So this one has about 130 horsepower. 150 foot-pounds of torque. It's a good grand touring car.
For sure.
You know, like you sat in it, it's very comfortable.
Yes.
John DeLorean was 6 feet plus tall guy. He wanted to be comfortable in it, so you lean back a little bit, lots of leg room. One of the first cars in the 80s to have a telescoping steering wheel, which is kind of neat, give you a little more room while driving. The number one thing owners will tell you to change is the coolant bottle. This originally was plastic and prone to cracking and leaking.
Oh Lord.
So metal is good. You want to change this to metal. Coolant hoses, you want to reorganize them, a couple things. The water pump was known to fail, so they upgraded that. There's just numerous parts. I am still in process of upgrading little tidbits here and there, and I'm always learning from older owners. So yeah, it's a love-hate relationship for sure.
For you, is it about the speed or anything like that, or is it about the comfortability, or more like the nostalgia, like the nostalgic feeling of
I think
this
it's
car?
all the above, man. At first I was kind of bummed it wasn't as fast as I expected. You know, I had no idea about the car when I first got it, but once I started driving it and learning about it, I just got nothing but respect for it. You know, I can understand why it's not that fast, because they wanted to build a brand new car company. You had to survive, right? So I think all around it, I think it is the nostalgic of it, and I just love it. I mean, how can you not, right? It's one of these cars where even if you're not a car person, it puts a smile on your face when you see it on the road, right?
Exactly.
It's just a fun, quirky car.
We met up at Phil's Coffee.
Yeah.
Shout out to Phil's. and yeah, there was already someone there. Hey, is this your car? Can I take a picture with it?
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's something you get from, like you said, anyone. Anything else with the car that you want to do to, or are you planning just as much as possible, just keep it running, keep it happy?
All the above, really.
Okay.
Everything's out minor is mostly cosmetic. As long as the engine is running great, which it is, I'm happy with that. I have seat covers on it. This is original leather here, so I do want to get that redone. 40 years old.
It looks good though.
Yeah, it does look pretty good.
Yeah.
The headliner is kind of sagging here, which is a very known item for these cars.
Not too bad.
Not too bad. This is 40-year-old rubber, so I want to redo all the seals. So it's like little things like that I want to get done. Obviously this is cracked from sun damage.
Oh, gotcha.
Replace this, replace the dash. Pretty much majority of the work now is all inside. The outside body is pretty good. Little fun story. Days before we bought it, so we actually bought this in Phoenix in 03. Everything was great. Days before the sale, a basketball hoop unfortunately fell right here.
No.
You can barely see a little dent right here.
Right.
But that's the only damage really to the whole body of the car. Everything else is pretty great. A little side fun history fact about the car. The whole reason of the stainless steel panels, John DeLorean's vision was if you got into an accident or a scratch, whatever everything, ideally you would just take this panel off, put a new one back on. There's no paint difference. You wouldn't even know. Everything would blend in perfectly.
That makes sense.
Pretty cool concept. Just never came about.
Right. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Is there a place that bought out all the parts that were left over?
They did. So I believe a gentleman named Steve Wynn, he bought DeLorean Motor Company, so it is still in existence. They were in the East Coast, but they moved everything now in Houston.
Okay.
Huge warehouse. If you're ever in Houston, I highly recommend going out there and taking a tour. They have all the parts you can think of, and they can actually build you a new DeLorean from old parts and new updated parts as well. There are a couple other places. There's Huntington Beach, there's a gentleman in Seattle area, so there's spread out places that can help you with service. There's also other companies in Europe and so forth. So there is actually great services out there and supplies that can help you own one of these, but obviously a lot harder than owning like a Honda or a Toyota.
Gotcha. Right.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong also on this, they made more fenders for one side than the other?
They did.
Okay.
So luckily, this is the cheaper side.
Oh, the cheaper side.
This is going to run you maybe, $400 to $600 or so, right?
Okay.
If you need a driver's side front fender, you're talking closer to $2,500.
Get out of here.
Crazy.
Okay, yeah, it's
so
much cheaper.
It could have been worse. They could have been playing basketball on that side.
Oh,
so,
Lord.
Yeah. Oh, another difference, big difference actually, is the hood. So the older DeLoreans, and this is my favorite hood.
Yes.
They have a little panel here, which is the gas.
Oh, I forgot the fuel tanks.
Pop that up.
Yeah.
Here's the gas. You fill it right here. Really easy. You're done. They took this away again, I think for cost cutting. Took that out, and the one after that still had these little strakes on the hood, but you had to lift up the whole hood to get some gas.
Wow. So that means you would get fuel.
Yeah. So you lift up this whole hood. Do this every time to go get gas.
Oh, wow.
And then close it back down.
And
kind of a pain.
The possibility of maybe getting fuel here. Oh, you got a good amount of storage here too.
Good amount of,
yeah.
We had a frunk before Tesla, man. It's not too bad. But yeah, so that was a big difference. Even those hoods, you can even see the template to cut the door flap.
No kidding. So they just didn't do it.
Cutting it.
Basically, they just used the same hood, but never cut out the.
Right. And then later on, for whatever reason, they took away these strakes right here, and it's completely flat.
Wow.
And they added, it says DeLorean little badge right here. So I think there's three different variations of hoods.
Right. The bumper here is that's the only part that's paint, or am I wrong?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So to wax this car takes about 2 minutes. So the front and back are painted fascias. One thing that they are prone to is over many years with the sun, they start to cause what they call eyebrows. So this will start to bend up a little bit on both sides.
Okay.
Fortunately, mine was still pretty straight, and there's a little trick to keep them straight is you just take the headlights out and you put a little aluminum bar or strip right under here, and you glue it in there, and you'll keep it from bowing, which is nice. So from what I've heard, if they do create eyebrows, it's very hard to get them flat again. DeLorean Motor Company Houston, they have a new part out of fiberglass, and it's perfectly straight. So that's great. The problem, it's a pain in the butt to take this off and on and get it realigned again. So. You got to do it. You got to do it. I learn about new quirks daily when I drive it. But I love her. As quirky as she is, it's great. It's a joy to drive and own and share with other people. So.
Forgot to show you guys, look, I got my Back to the Future shirt, and I got my Jordan ones that came out the same year as the movie. Hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you did, make sure to give that a thumbs up. Share with anyone that might like this type of content. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. Thank you, Jonathan, so much. I'll talk to you guys later.